So we have secured access to this HTTP application using this OIDC workflow. And as we said, we can pass directly the Jot token to the backend application. But instead of that, we can manipulate it and extract some value from it. So we can do that by applying this Jot policy that is going to extract the email claim to create this X email header. We need to validate the Jot token when we do that. So we need to define how to access Keycloak. So for that, we need to create this external endpoint with the IP address of Keycloak. In your case, you will not need to do that because you'll already have DNS resolution set up for your OIDC and so on. But this is not our case. So I just create these resources and I finally can create this Jot policy. And you see it's going to be applied to this label also. We already have this library in our route table, so we are going to be fine. We don't need to change anything in the route table. And you see, we say we want to apply it after authentication that is performed by the external policy in priority 1. So it's going to be the first thing done after we authenticate and authorize the user. So we apply this, and by the way, I didn't show that before, but whenever we apply this kind of policy, we can also see that they are applied to this route. And that here we have in the UI, here I'm still authenticated with user 2. And if I click on refresh here, I will see that now I will get the Jot token removed, so it's not used by our backend application. Because it doesn't need to decode this Jot token anymore because I'm providing the identity of the users directly. So the backend application doesn't need to care about this Jot token anymore. It can just rely on this X email header to validate the identity of the user. And we could do something else. We can now manipulate this X email header. Imagine we only want to get the domain name from this user. Then we basically can go ahead and create something we call a transformation policy. And you see where it can be applied to the same routes based on this label. But this time the priority will be 2. So it's going to happen after the Jot policy because we want to manipulate this X email header. So we need that header to be existing already before we apply this transformation policy. And you see, we use a regular expression to say we want to extract the domain name from this header. And we create a header called X organization. So you're going to probably tell me that's not so useful because, why would I manipulate this header here? The backend application can extract the domain name automatically. Like if I give that name, they can compute that quickly. So now you see I have this X organization equal to solo, but the reason why I would do that is because I want to show you another nice capability that I now can apply rate limiting based on this X organization header, which is secure. Like if somebody would try to set this X organization either manually, it would be overridden by this new value here that is computed by the Jot token, which is securely obtained if you want. So I could do some basic user rate limiting per user, right? But I can also apply rate limiting per organization now. So I can say I want to create a descriptor for this rate limiting called organization that is taken from this X organization header. And I can define the limit of 3 requests per minute when a user is part of this organization. Finally, I need to go ahead and create my rate limit policy that's going to be applied again using this label. This time the label is a new one and it's going to be called rate limit equals true. So I will have to update the route table, and I just specify the different elements that are going to be used by this policy. And also I define this policy to be applied and this priority is going to be 3 because I need the X organization header to be created before I can apply my secured rate limiting. So you can see it's really nice the way we can go ahead and build a complex workflow using these different policies, being able to order them the way we want to. Again, we create this a little bit like we did for XDOT. We need to create the rate limiting server settings to tell which server we want to use, because we could have different servers, different rate limits. If we wanted to, in our case, we could just have one, which is what people do generally, which is this rate limiter that we've deployed with the Glue Mesh add-ons, which is using Redis to keep track of the number of requests and so on. Finally, we can go ahead and look at this route table and apply this label here on the route. Be aware that you could also apply this label for the routes in this table, and in this case, it would also apply to all the different routes. And if we go here to the UI, you can see much more. Right here, you have these extra policies and Jot policies and even transformation policies, as well as the rate limiter. So if I can access my application, it still works, but if I send more than 3 requests, I get the 429 because I've been rate limited.